Hello, everyone. Welcome to Piedmont Trails. You are live from the attic. Wow, what a week this has been this week. Schedule has been completely booked every single day, which is great. That's the way I like it. But I hope everyone is having a great weekend. Today is June the 27th, 2021, and summer is officially here. So, how many of you have planned your summer trips? Let me know. Let me know that you're here. Say hi to me. Let me know where you're from. And welcome. Welcome to Live from the Attic. This is where all the action takes place. And this room is a mess. I've got maps laid out, land deeds, newspaper clippings, and I'm in the middle of several projects. So I have a lot going on this week and probably next week and a couple weeks down the road. But I hope that your research is doing well. I wanted to share with you a few things that I've got going on with all of you. Like I said, I think I posted on Facebook the other day, I've been working with old land grants. When I say that something is old, I'm talking way before the American Revolutionary War years. And this time period is one of my favorites to research. I can't explain why. And I know that sometimes information can be limited. Material is limited for this time frame. Um, Normally, records aren't stored in the normal process where most majority of your historical documents and genealogical documents would be stored for these years. It's a different time frame, but I just love it. And I've been dealing with land grants. So there was a person that asked me, I think on social media, where would I find land grants for Polk County? Well, you would need to go to, depends on the year and what you're researching. And Polk County, North Carolina originated from Rutherford County. So you would need to go from Rutherford County and then from that point backwards. You need to figure out which county you're actually in and the time frame that you're researching. And I find so many who are fascinated by this. And I want to remind everyone in North Carolina that Rowan County, Rowan County, extended from the Piedmont section of North Carolina westward completely, all throughout the state of North Carolina, and it even went to the Mississippi River at one time. So discover which years are important to you with your research, and then discover the county boundaries. But I have been in present day Davidson County, present day Guilford County, Stokes County, portions of Rockingham, going westward into Surrey County and Wilkes County, and including in that into Davie County. And what I'm working on is the Great Wagon Road. And I shared with you guys some tidbits of some information that I was able to stumble across a couple of weeks ago. And the further I get into this research, I'm making many, many more discoveries, and this is fascinating. I'm hoping to be able to share more details with you by mentioning some surnames in the couple of weeks coming, more details about the locations in which I'm working in, and me and the other members of the Great Wagon Road Project. But this is amazing research. And we're also digging into further of Boone's Trail, and there are other members that are working on that as well for the trail that was historically named for Daniel Boone. And this leads us to the time frame between the years of 1745 and 1748, 49, when some of the first participants who participated in the Great Wagon Road experienced that great migration when they started trickling into North Carolina, into that particular area. Some of the things that would thrive from people who arrived, families who arrived into a new area, would be quick settlements, establishment of settlements, which mainly consisted of a church, a courthouse nearby, several businesses that would be depended upon for resources. And one of these is, I have always been researching for many, many years since I was young. of a little town that used to exist in Davidson County along the banks of Abbott's Creek. And this is the name of this little town is Browntown. It doesn't exist today. It once was a thriving community. It had major traffic. It had several businesses, a famous cabinet maker whose some of his furniture has endured to today. That's still thriving. But due to the way the roads were designed during the mid 19th century, the main road outskirted Browntown and it went in another direction. And this is one of the prime examples of how early communities and settlements were no longer in existence by the time of the mid 19th century. The little Browntown area was first settled in the mid 18th century. I can name a few surnames for you in that area. The first one's going to come to mind is Brown, of course, and then Bodenheimer will be another one. Payne, Payne, Oral, Shields, Stack, Evans, Younger, Dow, D-O-W, and so many others. There's many others. This little community I became infatuated in because of the surname of Teague, T-E-A-G-U-E. And one of my ancestors purchased property from Mr. Teague back in 1765. And that's how I became interested in this particular area. But if you'll look on a local map, and if you look at Abbott's Creek, I wanted to say, don't quote me on this, but I want to say it's Abbott's Creek Church Road, off of Highway 109. And if that's not correct, I'll correct it for you in the discussions tab. But that is the location. It is right in between Abbott's Creek, and if you're familiar with Abbott's Creek Primitive Church, it's in that particular area. Fascinating research. The little town became no more approximately in the 1880s. It was pretty much gone. I did run across a newspaper clipping dated in 1840 where a circus, no, it was in 1870, so where a circus actually came through Browntown and put on a show. The little town was actually incorporated in, I think, in 1842. So it had a church, a separate church away from Abbott's Creek. So it's fascinating. I could go on and on about Browntown, but I won't. I'll stop right there. One of the other things that I'm reading this week is about Davy Crockett, and I'm reading his narrative of his life. And I was trying to see, this was actually written by Davy Crockett, and it goes into detail a lot about his early life, where he was. He did a lot of traveling when he was young, very young. He became, his father indentured him to another gentleman who actually was traveling into Virginia from Tennessee. And so Davy Crockett experienced a lot of different roads, a lot of different people, families. He once almost embarked on a trip to London, had a seat for him on a ship, and was unable to return the next day to actually board that ship. So it's fascinating. I'm not only reading his narrative, but I'm also getting into other records of him too. So, yeah, very, very interesting. If you've not discovered the narrative of Davy Crockett, I highly suggest that. It's in his own words. And something else that I've been working into this week is Williamsburg, Virginia. And I'm fascinated by the restoration projects that took place prior to the Great Depression during the 1930s, actually took place during the 1920 decade, and how these restorations came about for Williamsburg, Virginia. And I actually ran across a book that is called Williamsburg Before and After. and it's called The Rebirth of Virginia's Colonial Capital. And it was written by George Humphrey Yetter, and it's from the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation. It's a fascinating book. One of the things that I really, really love the best about it is the photographs, dating back to the period of when they first discussed the renovation projects and which buildings were still intact, which ones how they had changed through the years. Yeah, it's fascinating. That's history that's happening before your eyes, and someone's trying to restore it back to the way it originally was. And hands off to Williamsburg for all of the history and that they have dedicated themselves to in preserving not only just the history of colonial Virginia, but also the colonial Virginia families. There is a lot of genealogy material that has been saved all through the years through this restoration project. And yeah, it's a lot of, I'm not going to name the names of the people all involved because I might leave someone out, but I urge you to research that. It is fascinating. All right. So I've got a busy 2 weeks coming up, and next week I'm hoping to share more details about exactly what we have going on with the Great Wagon Road Project, because I can't wait to share this information with you, but I need to get everything lined up before I do that. And we're going to be closing out the month for Piedmont Trails on the website. We've got new plans coming up for next month, so stay tuned. And I want to thank you all for joining me this evening. These will be each Sunday evening, so at 8 o'clock. So feel free to join in, and we can talk about genealogy and history. And I may have questions for you. You may have questions for me. We're all here for each other. But I hope all of your research goes well this week, and enjoy your journey to the past. God bless.